So I'm going to start off with alpha. We're going to break this into alpha and beta. We're going to do them both separately. So what we're going to look at is, first of all, the very important information that they gave us about alpha. First of all, they gave you that sine alpha is 3 over 5. And what's that second big piece of information? It's between pi over 2 and pi. So for you, that's important to know because what quadrant is alpha in right now? What quadrant is alpha in? Quadrant 2. Okay? So we know that alpha is in quadrant 2, and they gave us the sine ratio of 3 over 5. Okay, so we're going to draw this in or on our coordinate plane. So let's do that. So draw yourself. Okay. We know that it is in quadrant 2, so we're going to draw alpha there in quadrant 2. The sine of alpha, again, tell me again what sine is. What's the ratio? Opposite over hypotenuse. So sine alpha is opposite over hypotenuse. So we will replace that with the 3 and the 5. So alpha is, or sine of alpha is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Now, we're going to do A, which is to find cosine of alpha. Tell me again what the ratio is for cosine. Adjacent over hypotenuse. So if I'm right here, adjacent is missing, right? So this is a right triangle. We have a missing, in this case, leg. What formula are we going to use to find this distance? Pythagorean theorem. So let's do that. So we have our Pythagorean theorem. Okay? So I know a leg and I know the hypotenuse. So if I square my leg and I square my hypotenuse, I would have 9 plus the b squared equal to the 25. So b squared would be what? This b squared would be 16, giving us b of 4. Yes, very good. Okay. So let's put that back up here in the right triangle. This is in, that 4 is your x value. So is 4 going to be positive or negative? Negative, right? So this is really a negative 4. We could put it up here as the ordered pair of negative 4, 3. All right, your x and y. Because some of you were trying to give me the ratio in the x, y, and r's. So this is kind of pulls those back in. All right. Now, what is the cosine of alpha? What's your ratio? Cosine is what again? Adjacent over hypotenuse. So if you're right here at alpha, what side is adjacent?
4.
And in this case, we'll actually use the negative. Negative 4 over 5. So your cosine alpha is your negative 4 over 5. Oh, we got one of them. Okay. All right, sine beta is equal to negative 1 over square root of 5, which is equal to the negative square root of 5 over 5. So what they did was they rationalized that, right? That's really all they did there. So now let's come down to the rest of the information about beta. Beta is greater than 3 pi over 2, but less than 2 pi. So that means it is in quadrant what? Quadrant 4. Okay, so we're going to draw him over here in quadrant 4. And now we have beta. There's our beta. They told us beta, sine beta was the negative 1 over square root of 5. We will use the first set of numbers first. We'll use the second set when we actually go back into the finding the values. All right, so again, sine is opposite over let's put our 90 in. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so your opposite, they tell us, is 1. The hypotenuse is square root of 5. Where'd the negative come from? Which one of these is the negative, the 1 or the square root of 5? It's the 1. It's the 1. So this is really negative 1. Right? Because we're over here in quadrant 4, right? And your y values in quadrant 4 are negative, right? Okay, so we need cosine, so we need our missing side. So let's do our let's do our Pythagorean theorem again. So we have our c, in this case, is the square root of 5. When we square a square root of 5, we actually just get 5. And if we square the 1, we will just get 1. So we have 1 plus b squared equals 5. So b squared would equal, b squared would be 4, and then b, yes, would be 2. Thank you. And then b would be 2. Okay, so let's put that up there. Now we can find cosine of beta. So cosine of beta is what? Adjacent over hypotenuse, so what is it? 2 over square root of, yeah, whoops, let me rewrite that. I'm going to scoot everything over, hold on. So we have 2 over square root of 5. That will be positive, right? 2 is positive because that is your x value, so we're okay there. But 2 over square root of 5 is unacceptable. We will need to do what? Rationalize. So we'll multiply top and bottom by square root of 5. So that would give us 2 square root of 5 over 5. So that's what they did up here for the sine, right? They rationalized it. And that's where they got that negative square root of 5 over 5. Okay. So now what do we have? We have everything we need now to find the cosine of alpha plus beta, right? Because we have the sine and cosine of alpha. Now we have the sine and or the cosine and of alpha and beta as well. So we're ready. Okay? We're ready to do our last step here. So let's just write it down. Cosine of alpha plus beta is your cosine of alpha times your cosine of beta minus your sine of alpha times your sine of beta. Okay. So now all you guys need to do is just replace in the values. We found cosine of alpha to be negative 4/5. We found cosine beta to be the 2 square root of 5 over 5. Sine alpha, we know, is the 3/5. And sine beta, we know, is the, and this time you'll use the rationalized form. That's the negative square root of 5 over 5. Now you're going to go back and clean it up. So now let's go back. Let's do some multiplying. Let's take the negative 4 times the square root of 2. No, 2 times square root of 5. You're always saying that wrong. Let me say it again. Negative 4 times the 2 square root of 5. What would that give you? Negative what?
Negative 8 square root of 5.
And then multiply your 5 times your 5. Okay. Now let's come over here. You actually, so you're going to multiply these together. These are both, you can consider these to be a negative times a negative. So 3 times, the negative 3 times the negative square root of 5 would give you what? And it would flip it back to positive, right? So positive 3 square root of 5 again over that 25. Can we keep going? Yeah, we can keep going. Since they are both the same radical, you can consider those to be like terms. We can go ahead and add those. So the negative 8 plus the 3. Negative 5. A square root of 5 over 25. Can we do anything else to that?
Yes.
Yeah, we can. We can do what? Yes. We can simplify the 5s. 5 would become 1. 25 would become 5. That would give us a final answer of negative square root of 5 over 5. And that is the answer.